Incredible transformation, Millionaire's heartwarming discovery after accidentally hitting girl, Jake Thompson was living the dream, or so it seemed. A 38-year-old millionaire, he basked in the luxuries of life, with a sprawling mansion overlooking pristine, manicured lawns and vintage cars crowding his garage. Yet, there was a crack in his facade, an emptiness that lingered like an unwelcome shadow. Surrounded only by the glint of gold and the hum of work calls from his flashy smartphone, he longed for something profoundly deeper, a connection point. One ordinary afternoon, while juggling economic proposals and glancing through text messages, his moment of distraction changed everything. With a sickening thud that echoed in his chest, Jake struck something small and fragile. Panic surged through him as he stumbled out of the car. Time seemed to freeze. He could barely breathe as he knelt beside the small figure on the asphalt, an innocent girl, no more than 7, her golden hair tangled, and her face pale. Her name was Lily. As Jake rushed her to the hospital, dread gnawed at him. Every passing moment felt like a lifetime, her shallow breaths drowning out the chaos of his mind. He couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was shifting within him. Upon arrival, anxiety morphed into a heavy realization. Lily came from a struggling family, her father Tom, a local veteran battling unseen demons since his return from service. The contrast between Jake's gilded world and their harsh reality was stark and jarring. News of the accident spread fast through the quaint streets of Maplewood. Neighbors, once merely faces in the crowd, now emerged with their warm casseroles and heartwarming smiles, rallying around Lily's family. And there stood Jake, feeling like an outsider in this harmonious support. What could he do? The weight of his privilege pressed down on him, suffocating his desire to connect. Should he extend a hand, or retreat back into his opulent bubble? With the crushing guilt looming over him, Jake decided to bridge the divide. He organized a community fundraiser, envisioning a celebration of unity, but instead, chaos erupted. Voices rose in anger and mistrust filled the air like an undesirable fog. They granted him no warm welcome, only scornful glances as each neighbor questioned his intentions. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. After another failed attempt to connect, Jake found himself at the hospital once more, emotions swirling like a storm inside him. Here, amidst the sterile walls and hushed tones, he met Lily's fierce gaze. Bandaged but unyielding, she challenged him, "You need to understand, Mr. Thompson, that love cannot be bought." Her father's words were raw with gratitude but equally infused with frustration. He wanted Jake to see the emptiness of wealth that couldn't fill the human heart. As tensions mounted, Jake realized this wasn't just about raising funds, it was a journey towards community, towards genuine relationships. He stood on the precipice of a transformation. But the question loomed heavily, could he truly change? Could the community allow him to prove he was more than just a wealthy outsider? Hope flickered, yet doubt lingered. What awaited him on the other side of this life-changing moment? Jake sat in the waiting room, the fluorescent lights buzzing above him. Each tick of the clock echoed like a reminder of the choices he still had to make. He could feel the stares from other families, their tired eyes lingering on him, searching for comprehension or perhaps judgment. It was all so overwhelming. What had started as a mere accident had spiraled into a vortex of guilt and confusion. The hospital's atmosphere was filled with the soft beeping of machines and the quiet murmurs of concerned voices. Jake leaned forward in his chair, anxiety racing through him. What did he know about struggle? He dedicated his life to business deals and profit margins, never imagining a world where wealth didn't solve problems. A nurse walked by, her smile radiant against the sterile environment. "Mr. Thompson, you can go in now. Lily is awake," she announced, a hint of warmth in her voice. Jake's heart raced. Could he face her again? The last thing he wanted was to disappoint the little girl who'd already been so brave. He paused at the door, took a deep breath, and stepped inside. Lily lay in the hospital bed, her small frame dwarfed by the pillows. She looked at him with those bright, perceptive eyes, full of innocence and wisdom beyond her years. "Mr. Thompson," she said softly, her voice a whisper. "Did you bring me flowers?" Stumbling for words, he shook his head. I didn't know what to bring." She tilted her head, those golden curls spilling over her shoulder. "It's okay. I like teddy bears too." They hugged back, she said, a delicate smile breaking through her pain. A lump formed in Jake's throat. That simple declaration cut deeper than any business loss could. "I'm sorry for what happened. I never meant to hurt you," he murmured, guilt flooding his veins. "People make mistakes. Even you," she replied. The innocence in her tone was striking. She didn't see the man behind the money, just the person who needed to learn. That he took a seat by her bed, their eyes locking in a moment full of unspoken promises. "I want to do better for you and your family. I want to help," Jake confessed, the vulnerability in his voice unexpected and raw. Lily's expression shifted slightly, curiosity sparking in her brows. "But how can you help? You have money, but that's not enough." Her words pierced through him. Was he truly equipped to help? He felt the walls of his world shatter, revealing all the things he'd ignored for too long. She was right, love and connection couldn't be bought. They had to be cultivated, nurtured, and deserved. "I want to understand your world. Can you show me?" he asked, almost in desperation. Lily looked at him, weighing his sincerity. "Okay. But we do it my way. Promise?" "I promise," he said, a weight lifting off his chest. It was a promise to step outside himself, to step outside his comfort zone. Jake left the hospital that day with his heart in a different place. He felt a sense of purpose blossoming where emptiness once reigned. Perhaps here lay the beginning of his transformation, aided by a little girl who needed more than donations, she needed presence. As he drove through the streets of Maplewood, he found himself looking at everything differently. The vibrant community he'd previously overlooked now felt alive, teeming with stories and experiences he was eager to learn about. But as night fell, dark clouds loomed above. Jake couldn't shake the feeling that reshaping a life was going to be far more challenging than he had anticipated. There were still doubts embedded in the hearts of the townspeople. Would they let him in? Would they truly believe he was trying to change? With his heart racing, Jake took a turn down a street that led to Lily's neighborhood, ready to take that first step into a world he'd once avoided. Little did he know, fate would soon place another test before him, one that would demand every ounce of courage he had left. Jake drove slowly through Lily's neighborhood, uncertainty gnawing at him. The houses seemed smaller than he remembered, their peeling paint and worn lawns contrasting sharply with the polished streets of the city he usually navigated. He parked in front of a modest home where faded flowers bowed under the weight of time. This wasn't just a visit, this was a dive into vulnerability. He stepped out of the car, his mind swirling with thoughts of how to approach her family. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on his chest. Would they accept him? Would they see him as a monster or as someone genuinely trying to make amends? He felt a knot twist in his stomach as he approached the door. Before he could knock, it swung open, revealing a woman with weary eyes. "Mr. Thompson," she said, her voice catching ever so slightly. "Thank you for coming." She stepped aside, granting him entry. Inside, the atmosphere was tense yet warm, with the faint smell of cooking wafting from the kitchen. Lily's mother led him to a small living room packed with family photos and scribbled notes from school projects. The walls were adorned with memories, a stark reminder of the life Lily had before the accident. He could see resilience in her mother's eyes, yet a shadow lingered, hinting at distress he wished to ease. "Lily is excited to see you," her mother said, motioning toward the bedroom. "But it's been tough on her. On all of us. She's had so many questions." Jake took a deep breath, feeling the weight of her words. "I understand. I want to help to answer whatever she needs, he replied, suppressing the tremor in his voice. Entering Lily's room felt like stepping into a sacred space. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting a glow over the little girl in her oversized bed, a world of plush toys surrounding her. The sight melted Jake's heart. She looked up and grinned, a spark of joy lighting up her face. "You came back." "I promised," he said, settling into a chair beside her. "How are you feeling today?" Lily shrugged, her expression shifting from excitement to something more serious. "It's hard. I have a lot of feelings." The honesty in her voice struck him. Here was a child articulating emotions he hadn't even begun to understand. "I know a bit about feelings," Jake said, trying to connect. "They can be really confusing. I've spent a lot of time ignoring mine." "Why?" she asked, curiosity flashing in her big, round eyes. Her innocence was both refreshing and painful. "That's just how I was. I thought if I focused on money and work, everything else would be okay. But now, I see that was wrong," he said, meeting her gaze with sincerity. "Being here with you, it's helping me learn." She smiled, her brow furrowing slightly. "Do you think you could be part of my family for a little bit?" Her words caught him off guard. Part of her family? He felt the vulnerability in that ask, the deep need for connection she was voicing. The implications weighed on him, but a warm feeling washed over him too. "I would love that," he replied, his heart swelling at the thought. But Lily's face turned serious again. "You have to promise to be real. No pretending to be someone else." Jake nodded vigorously. "No more pretending. Just me." In that moment, he realized he was at a crossroads. If he wanted to help Lily, he needed to embrace his own faults and fears openly. This was his opportunity for real growth. "I'll keep that promise," he said firmly. "And I want to show you that I can be here, not just today but every day from now on." Just then, Lily's mother peeked in, unexpectedly interrupting their moment. "There's a carnival happening down the street," she said, a spark returning to her eyes. "Do you want to go? They have cotton candy." Jake exchanged a glance with Lily, and she beamed at him. The playful spirit she was tapping into reminded him just how important this connection was. "Let's do it," he said, feeling a surge of excitement. As they prepared to step out, a shot of fear gripped him. Was he really ready for this new adventure? What if he faltered on his promise? Yet, in the depth of Lily's hopeful gaze, he found determination blooming within him. Together they exited the house, walking into a burst of color and laughter. But nothing could shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of a tumultuous journey ahead, a journey where the real challenges lay just beyond the horizon. As they walked hand in hand, Jake felt the warm summer breeze brushing against his skin. The laughter from the carnival grew louder, blending with the scent of popcorn and fried dough wafting through the air. It was surreal. This was a world filled with delight and he was a part of it now, a step into something he hadn't expected. Lily skipped ahead, her spirit so unburdened by the weight of the world. He found himself smiling, not just out of obligation, but because of the sheer joy radiating from her. It was infectious. As they approached the entrance, vibrant banners danced in the wind, and he could see children clutching balloons, their faces painted with bright colors. He had not been in a setting like this for years, lost in his own shell of failure and work. "Can we get cotton candy first?" Lily squeaked, her eyes wide with excitement. "Absolutely," Jake replied, leaning down to her level to keep their connection. He felt lighter already, like every step peeled away parts of his past that had haunted him for too long. Together, they approached the cotton candy stand. Jake watched as she pointed at the swirling pink cloud of sugar. It reminded him of childhood, the simple happiness, the sweetness of carefree moments. With cotton candy in hand, Lily led him to various rides. Her laughter echoed as they spun around on the carousel, and his heart raced faster than the spinning horses. He couldn't remember the last time he laughed like this. Every squeal from Lily felt like a reminder of innocence he had lost somewhere along the way. "What's next?" she asked, her mouth still sticky with sugar. "I don't know, but I think we should find something that makes your heart race," he joked, hinting at a nearby Ferris wheel. "Let us do it," Lily shouted, her enthusiasm intoxicating. As they climbed into their pod, a rush of wind enveloped them, lifting them higher and higher above the carnival. The world down below shrank, filling with bright lights and laughter. Lily clapped her hands, her joy so palpable it seemed to light up the night. "Look, Jake!" she exclaimed, pointing at the view. "I can see everything. It's beautiful." "It really is, Lily," he admitted, watching her as much as the view. She was absolutely radiant, and in that moment, he understood her need for connection. She was reaching for something greater, something she believed was possible even after everything she had been through. Were they both seeking that same thing? Just then, the Ferris wheel creaked to a halt at the top. The moment held, the air thick with silence and potential. Suddenly, Jake's phone buzzed in his pocket, an unwelcome reminder of his old life. He hesitated to look, the tiny screen beckoning him with responsibilities that felt so distant now compared to this moment of joy. "Are you okay?" Lily asked, her expression shifting from playful to concerned. Her simple question hit him like a wave. "Yeah, I'm okay," he said, forcing a smile. But he could feel the internal struggle. Was he really ready to change? Could he really be a part of her family, her laughter, and her journey to heal? With a deep breath, Jake turned his gaze back to the bustling carnival below. He needed to embrace this feeling. I don't want this to end," he confessed. Lily's eyes sparkled. "It doesn't have to." Her words were a promise, a glimmer of hope shining brightly through the chaos of his thoughts. As the Ferris wheel began to lower, Jake saw not just the festival below, but a path forward through the laughter, the joy, and the love that radiated from Lily. This was his chance for redemption, but just as he felt ready to let go of the past, the harsh buzz of reality came crashing back. He glanced at the text on his phone, a call from the office, marked urgent. The foundations of his new world seemed to crack beneath him. How could he balance them both? As they stepped off the ride, laughter still echoed around them, yet he felt the weight of an uncertain choice looming ahead. In that moment, he realized the journey wasn't just about healing Lily, it was about healing himself too. "Lily," he began, an urgency rising in his heart. But before he could find the words, she turned and raced ahead, pulling him back into the joy. Would he chase after her, or would he let the call from his past dictate his future? The decision loomed heavy. The night stretched before him, a crossroads illuminated by the lights of the carnival and the pull of two lives. Jake stood frozen for a moment, his heart pounding in his chest. The laughter around him faded, replaced by the pressing urgency of the text in his hand. "Urgent meeting at 8 a.m. Can't wait for you," it read. It felt like a storm cloud threatening to rain on a beautiful day, but as he looked up, he saw Lily, her figure darting through the crowd, her carefree spirit untainted by the pressures that weighed on him. She was reaching for candy apples, her laughter ringing like bells above the chaos. And in that laughter, he found a strange kind of strength. The thought of going back to work and leaving her behind gnawed at him. It was like standing on a cliff, unsure whether to jump or hold back. "Lily," he called, taking a step toward her, but she was already off towards the funhouse. She spun in circles, her giggles enveloping her like a warm blanket. He watched as she scampered through the maze, lost in the wonder of it all. Could she lead him to a place where work didn't consume every waking moment? Jake shoved his phone back in his pocket, forcing himself to just be. He walked toward the funhouse, each step growing steadier, fueled by the laughter echoing inside. As he entered, the warped mirrors reflected a distorted version of himself, faded, shadow-like. But the vibrant joy on Lily's face shone brighter with each step she took further inside. "Look, Jake. This one makes you look tall," she squeaked, jumping in front of a mirror that stretched her tiny frame and compressed his. He couldn't help but chuckle. It was impossible to feel low when she was so full of life. Maybe I am tall, just on the inside, he joked back, bending to her level. Yeah. And super strong. She added with a playful flex, her expression full of possibility. In that playful moment, Jake felt a shiver of realization. She was living in the now. Not worrying about what would come next, or what had happened before. Just the joy of spinning through life as it came. The vibrant chaos inside the funhouse made the outside world feel miles away. As they twisted through the maze, Jake could feel the heaviness of his responsibilities float away like the balloons that bobbed overhead in bright, cheerful colors. He even caught himself smiling more than he had in years. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed through the funhouse, followed by the collective gasps of children and adults alike. The noise came from outside, breaking through their moment of bliss. Jake's heart sank as he instinctively turned toward the sound. Was it an accident? Had someone fallen? His instinct to protect surged forward, and he grabbed Lily's hand tightly. "Let us check it out, okay?" "Okay." She replied, still full of enthusiasm. As they maneuvered back into the night, Jake's heart raced not from fear, but from the hope of self-discovery mingling with concern. He needed to find out what happened, but he was more terrified about what that could mean for their night. Would this moment shatter everything they shared? They stepped outside, and the carnival lights seemed to change, flickering anxiously over the crowd gathered in a circle. Fear rippled through the air. "What is going on?" Jake asked as they approached, trying to keep his grip on Lily firm yet gentle. He felt a growing tension in his chest. Something was wrong. The night, which had felt so alive just moments before, now pulsed with worry. As they got closer, Jake caught a glimpse of a girl on the ground, her face pale. People rushed around, some stepping back in shock, others shouting for help. That urgency gripped him, and he dropped to his knees, panic flooding through him. "Stay close," he told Lily, knowing that the carefree night was slipping away, but desperate to protect her innocence for as long as he could. He looked around, a knot forming in his stomach as a flicker of dread settled in. Was this the moment that would change everything? What would happen next? Jake felt the world narrowing around him, the blur of chaos and uncertainty overwhelming. As he knelt beside the girl, he tried to focus on her, to steady himself amid the storm of emotions that surged within. The soft gasps from onlookers faded into the background, and all he could see was the fear etched on the girl's face, pale and fragile like a whisper. "Hey, hang in there," he murmured gently, trying to sound calm even as his heart raced. He glanced back at Lily, who clung to his side, her wide eyes reflecting the worry around them. "It's okay," he said, more for her benefit than his own, trying to build a bridge between innocence and reality. "Someone call 911, a voice shouted, cutting through the murmurs of the crowd. Jake's pulse quickened further. They were all strangers, yet he felt a connection as they all shared the same urgent hope for the girl on the ground. That he looked at her closely now. She couldn't have been more than 12, her long brown hair tangled and her denim jacket rumpled. The sight of her vulnerability made something inside him ache. He thought of Lily, always so full of life and laughter. This girl needed help, immediate help. His mind raced through possibilities. Could he do something? Could he be the one who made a difference? He leaned in closer, noticing tears pooling at the corners of the girl's eyes. "Please, stay with me. Help is coming," Jake urged, holding her hand tightly as if his strength could somehow lift her spirit. The girl nodded slowly, her breath shallow, drifting in and out of consciousness. Jake felt an urgent heaviness in his chest. As he held her hand, an unexpected wave of warmth flowed through him. It was as if this moment connected them all, the joy of life, the fragility of it, and the desperate need for compassion when faced with fear. He glanced at Lily. She looked up at him with a small, brave smile, as if trying to tell him that everything would be all right. Then, just like that, the girl's eyes lost focus. Panic flooded through Jake. "No, no, stay with me." He called louder now, aware he was pleading. The crowd's murmurs shifted to anxiety, He could feel the weight of their collective breath hitching that he turned to Lily, who had instinctively stepped forward, a tiny beacon of hope. "Can you run get someone?" he asked, desperation in his voice. "We need help now." Lily nodded, her small frame straightening as she took off, her figure a paintbrush against the canvas of chaos. Jake's eyes stayed locked on the girl, feeling the world around him getting less defined. He could hardly breathe. "Hold on," he whispered, brushing the hair from the girl's face. Maybe, just maybe, his presence could anchor her. Maybe it could remind her to fight. And as he kept whispering encouragement, he felt the tremor in his hand steady, a newfound resolve coursing through him. In that moment, he realized he wasn't just there to help her, he was also discovering a part of himself he thought he had lost amid the deadlines and boardrooms. Then he heard sirens in the distance, the wail rising above the murmurs of the crowd. Relief washed over him. They were coming, but before the paramedics could arrive, something in the girl's gaze flickered a fleeting recognition, perhaps. Her lips parted to speak. "Help me," she barely managed to whisper, and in those two words, the world fell away. A surge of urgency bubbled inside Jake. What did she mean? Did she have something important to say? With the sirens drawing nearer, he leaned closer, his heart pounding in his ears as he asked, "What is it? What do you need to tell me?" Just then, the world seemed to hang on that precipice. Would her words change everything? Jake felt as if the air had thickened, as if reality was holding its breath along with him. He focused on the girl's trembling lips, willing her to say something more. What do you need?" Her eyes flickered, a mix of fear and something deeper, something almost shimmering within them. Instinctively, he tightened his grip on her hand, the warmth of her tiny fingers grounding him. He searched her face, trying to convey strength, even though every moment felt weighted with dread. The sirens grew closer, their wailing echoing off nearby buildings, a harsh contrast to the stillness between them. "Help is almost here," he said, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask than reassurance. He hoped she could sense his belief in her fight. "Just a little longer, okay?" For a heartbeat, her gaze seemed to sharpen. "Jake," she whispered, her voice weak but clear enough to slice through the chaos enveloping them. "You have to tell her the truth." His heart stopped. "What truth?" he pressed, desperation threading his tone. "Please, just hold on, they're almost here. Promise you'll find her." Her voice was barely above a whisper, yet it resonated deeply within him, lighting a fire of determination. Jake felt a strange pull, as if her plea was not just for help, but a call to action he couldn't ignore. Just then, the sharp sound of tires skidding to a halt broke through the tension. Paramedics jumped from the ambulance, rushing towards them. Their presence brought an oxygen-rich breath of relief, but Jake's thoughts remained with the girl. He caught her gaze one last time, and a rush of understanding flickered in her eyes before they glazed over, her body relaxing slightly. As the paramedics took over, handling the girl gently yet efficiently, Jake stood back, heart hammering in his chest. They began checking her vitals. He felt Lily return to his side, her breath quickened, and they both watched in silence, tethered by the invisible thread of hope. "Is she going to be okay?" Lily's voice wavered, and Jake could see the fear she worked to suppress. She looked scared, like she wasn't going to wake up. Jake wasn't sure how to answer. "I think she'll fight, just like we are," he replied, his own heart still racing from the intensity of the moment. But as the medics prepared to take her away in the ambulance, a sudden weight settled over him. What did the girl mean by the truth? He glanced at Lily, who was watching the medics now with her small brow furrowed in concern. "Let us follow them, okay?" he suggested, his resolve fortifying as he navigated his next steps. He didn't know who the girl was referring to, or what truth she wanted him to discover, but something deep within him stirred. As the ambulance doors closed, a sense of urgency ignited. He had to find out who that girl was, why she had recognized him, and what she knew. He turned to Lily, determination igniting their youthful spirits. "We're going to help her. We need to find out the truth together." And as they rushed toward the ambulance, their footsteps echoing against the pavement, Jake felt a shift in his heart. This wasn't just about the girl anymore, it was about a connection that spanned beyond fear and uncertainty. But what truths lay ahead? What awaited them in the unknown, just behind the doors of that ambulance? Jake and Lily hurried alongside the ambulance, the thudding of their hearts matching the urgency of the scene unfolding before them. He could barely grasp the situation, words from the girl still swirling in his mind like leaves caught in a tornado. "Find her," she had said. Who did she mean? And why did the words feel like a weight sinking deeper into his chest? The ambulance doors slammed shut, sending a jolt of panic through him. He felt the cool night air prick at his heated skin, sharpening his focus. He didn't want to let the girl slip away without understanding more. With a shared glance, Jake and Lily sped toward the ambulance as it pulled away, the red and white blaring like a siren song now beckoning them onward. "Hold on!" Jake shouted, heart racing, remembering how the girl had looked at him. He felt strangely compelled, as if their fates were intertwined. They had to know what was happening. They chased the vehicle through the dimly lit streets, evading the handful of curious onlookers who stood frozen by the spectacle. Thoughts of the girl fractured his mind as if he had been tossed into a wave. Who was she? What had happened to her? A million questions clamored for attention, but all that spurred him on was that fierce need to learn the truth. As the ambulance rounded a corner, he grasped Lily's hand tighter. "We have to catch up," he urged, and Lily nodded, determination igniting the determination in her eyes. They spotted the emergency lights ahead, twinkling through the night, and he picked up speed, running faster than he ever thought he could. The emergency room loomed ahead, stark and bright, a beacon of both hope and worry. Once they reached the entrance, a stern-looking nurse blocked their path. Her expression was hard yet weary. "Excuse me. We need to see her," Jake implored, breathless. The nurse looked at them with skepticism, one eyebrow raising in disbelief. "Do you have family in there? Next of kin?" "No," he exclaimed, desperation creeping into his voice. "But she knows me. I know her." The nurse's expression softened slightly, but she shook her head. "You can't come in unless a sudden alarm blared from the inside, cutting her off." Jake's heart dropped. "What does that mean?" he asked, anxiety coursing through him. "I don't know," she replied, her voice less certain now. "If she's unstable, no. He couldn't lose her, not when the weight of her words pressed so heavily on his heart. Dark memories of helplessness washed over him, moments in which he couldn't save someone he cared about. He thought of his mom, how she'd battled illness, and how he had always felt powerless. Not again. This time, he would fight. Jake took a step forward, his voice steady and clear. "Listen, please. I need to know she's going to be okay. She told me to find someone, she said, to tell her the truth. I need to understand what she meant. Please." The nurse's eyes narrowed for a moment, and then, to his surprise, she hesitated. "I'll see what I can do." With that, she pushed through the door, leaving Jake and Lily standing in a fragile silence. "Do you think she'll be all right?" Lily asked, anxiety evident in her tone. "I have to believe she will. That girl needs us," Jake replied fervently, clenching his fists. "And we'll find out what she wanted us to do." Minutes felt like hours as they waited, uncertainty gnawing at their resolve. Just when Jake thought time had stopped, the nurse returned, her face a mask of professionalism. "I need to speak with you both. It's important." His chest tightened. What new reality awaited them? As they followed her deeper into the emergency room, Jake could feel the weight of his uncertainty anchoring down. What truth lay beyond those sterile walls? What did the girl know that could transform everything? Jake's palms felt clammy as he followed the nurse into the brightly lit corridor. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, their harshness sending a jolt of adrenaline through him. The nurse walked briskly, her white uniform a blur against the bleached walls. Lily stayed close beside him, her eyes darting around, searching for any sign of the girl they just met. "Please, just tell us she's okay," Jake prompted, desperation creeping into his voice. The urgency of his plea filled the air between them. The nurse paused, turning around to face them, her expression shifting from stoic to sympathetic. "She's stable, but it's complicated. You need to understand, she's in a lot of emotional pain." Jake's heart sank. Emotional pain. He felt it pull at him in a way he couldn't quite explain. She asked for us." "Why?" The nurse sighed. "She's been through something traumatic. It's made her hesitant to trust anyone." She ran a hand through her hair, glancing back down the hallway as if searching for the right words. "Sometimes, when a person feels lost, they need help finding their way back." "She said your names." "What does that mean?" Lily interjected, the tremor in her voice betraying the fear they both felt. "It means you've made an impact on her," the nurse replied. "But it's going to take some time." "Can we see her?" Jake asked, clinging to that sliver of hope. The nurse hesitated, her eyes darting to the clipboard she held tightly against her chest. "You can visit, but be gentle. She's fragile right now." With a nod from the nurse, they stepped into a smaller room. As their eyes adjusted, Jake felt his breath hitch. There she was, lying in the hospital bed, the girl from the alley. Her face was pale, but he could see glimmers of strength shimmering beneath the surface. Jake wanted to rush to her side, to hold her hand and tell her it would all be all right. But he hesitated, sensing the weight of her vulnerability. "Hey, it's us," he said softly, stepping closer. "You remember us?" From before her eyes opened slowly, confusion shadowing her features. And then, recognition a flicker that ignited something deep within him. "You came, of course we came," Lily said, her voice steady and filled with warmth. "You asked us to." "Help me," the girl murmured, her words faint like the fluttering of a moth's wings. I don't know how to find her." "Who?" Jake asked, leaning in. "Who are you looking for?" At that moment, her gaze shifted, and the fear in her eyes deepened. "I don't know if I can tell you. Try," Jake urged, an edge of urgency creeping into his voice. "We'll help you. Just tell us what you need." The girl bit her lip, a battle raging behind her troubled gaze. "It's her. I have to find her before it's too late." "Before what's too late?" Lily asked, inching closer and reaching out a hand toward the girl. The girl closed her eyes, taking a shaky breath. "Before I lose everything." Jake's heart raced, the weight of her words sitting heavy in the air. What kind of truth could lead to such fear? And who was the girl she was searching for? He felt the urgency build within him. They couldn't back down now. This was their chance to uncover something monumental. As he and Lily exchanged frantic glances, they both knew one thing: they were in this together. They had to find the answers before the darkness swallowed their newfound friend whole. Everything hinged on this moment. "We won't let you go through this alone. You'll find her. We'll help you, I promise." Desperation clung to his words, but as they echoed in the room, a deep question loomed over them. Could they really uncover the truth before it was too late? The air was thick with uncertainty as Jake, Lily, and the girl who remained nameless in this whirlwind of emotion sat together in the small hospital room. Each second ticked by like a drumbeat, underscoring their urgency to uncurl the layers of hurt that surrounded them. Outside, the world buzzed on, unaware that this moment was pivotal for them all. As he gazed at the girl, the weight of Lily's hand resting comfortingly on his made a resolute connection. "You're not alone in this," he whispered, leaning closer. "We're in this together, no matter how tough it gets." I don't know how to find her," the girl murmured, her voice trembling with raw fear. "What if it's too late?" Jake felt a pang in his heart, realizing that maybe she was talking about more than just a friend or family member. Perhaps it was a piece of herself she was battling to reclaim. He shifted in his chair, gathering courage while encouragement pulsed in his chest. "Let us figure this out." "Who is she?" "Someone I miss her," the girl hesitated, then closed her eyes tightly. I can't remember her face. I can't remember her breaths quickened, anxiety flooding the room until Jake reached out instinctively, placing his hand over hers. Just breathe, he said, trying to anchor both her and himself. Take your time. We're here. You're safe. The girl's green eyes flickered open. Her name is Emily. She was there for me. Always. Emily, Lily echoed softly, her face thoughtful. What happened to her? How do we help? Where do we even begin? The girl shook her head, tears trailing down her cheeks. I don't know. I can't remember, yet she looked so fragile yet so mighty at the same time. Jake felt a resilience awaken within him. Then let us start by finding out what is pressing on your heart, the things we can remember. He leaned in further, intensity igniting. What do you think happened to Emily that you can't quite capture? The girl inhaled shakily, her vulnerability a powerful reminder of the fragility of life. She's lost. And it's my fault. A heavy silence enveloped them, the weight of her words hanging like a curtain between despair and hope. Jake glanced at Lily, who nodded in solidarity. You didn't mean for this to happen, Lily said, her voice earnest and inspiring a flicker of light. You were there for each other. Maybe, in time, you can find your way back to her again. Do you think so? The girl asked, disbelief lurking beneath her surface. Yes. Jake replied firmly, knowing he was voicing a truth that resonated deep in their chests. Just like I had to learn to help Lily, you can learn to help yourself, and ultimately find Emily too. You can do it. Her eyes brimmed with both grief and flickering hope, contemplating the idea. Maybe if I remember the things we did together, she whispered, a hint of determination flashing in her demeanor. Together, Jake agreed, emphasizing the word, igniting their mission. They'd create a collective pulse of support between moments of vulnerability and whispers of bravery. They would work through this. Let us think, what did you love doing with Emily? Moments passed as the girl found herself in memories, each seemingly distant but pivotal. We used to walk in the park. We laughed, she loved butterflies. Her small face brightened with fleeting joy. There was this tree I used to climb. Then let us start there. Lily exclaimed, excitement spilling over as she squeezed the girl's hand. We can help you find your way back to those moments. The girl's expression shifted, uncertainty melting into hesitant hope. You'll come with me? Of course. Jake vowed, a wave of commitment rushing through him. You're not alone anymore. We'll all get through this together. As her face softened, Jake felt a warmth bloom in his chest. This moment signified the turn towards healing, not just for the girl but for them all. Just then, the nurse re-entered the room, her presence grounding. You need to take it slow, she reminded gently, but her eyes softened as she noted the newfound connection. If you need anything or want to talk more, I'll be nearby. When the nurse stepped back out, a new light filled the room. This is how we heal, together. Jake thought, continuing to weave the thread of hope tighter. What do you say we go for a walk by that park tomorrow? Lily suggested, her spirit radiant. The trees will be waiting. And just like that, their uncertainty began to find its legs in the embrace of reality. Thank you, the girl whispered, tears of gratitude shining in her eyes. You've given me hope. Jake and Lily exchanged a knowing smile, both having unearthed something precious and transformative. The moment shimmered as he thought about all they had endured and how each person, the girl, Lily, himself, were on the brink of a new journey that promised discovery, connection, and healing. In the embrace of shadows and light, Jake realized this was more than just a quest, it was a revelation of life. Together, they would fly towards dawn, and together, they would chase back lost moments of joy. And at that moment, the door swung wide open to a world of possibility and adventure. As they prepared to navigate the unknown, Jake felt an overwhelming connection evolve in his heart, a radiant new beginning. Join in on this journey of love, healing, and friendship. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories that will touch your heart and soul. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Trust me, it makes a difference and helps us grow. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending. Let us hear how it touched you. And please, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second. Only true fans understand how vital it is to support our channel through these actions. Let us keep inspiring each other.